Hello there and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're talking about why conformity is a killer. I'm basing everything off of this guy, which is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was kind of a cool guy. He's American and he was writing in like the 19th century. This guy is all about individualism, original thought, self-reliance, and is extremely devoted to nature as well, and the inner goodness in people. He used to be a Unitarian minister, and then he became a secular philosopher, kind of. So that's quite an interesting switch. And he wrote a lot about nature as well. He had a deep connection with nature. But what I wanted to talk about was how conformity can be a killer and how it can starve the soul. I'm going to start off by reading a quote from Mr. Emerson, and it goes like this. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree, for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. So what the hell does this mean? Basically, what he's trying to say is that society is a collective enterprise, much like a stock company. The members of society are like the investors, and they invest in society, and what they get back is security and stability, what he calls bread. But there is a price to pay. The eater, the investor, has to give something up in order to reap these benefits of society. And the cost of joining society and getting its benefits is conformity. Giving up culture and liberty is what he says. That you have to give up some of your personal freedom, some of your individuality, your originality, and your authentic self-expression in order to also benefit from society. And I think this is still true for today. In order to still be part of society, we need to conform to a certain degree. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but it is a necessity of joining society. And generally speaking, it's a good thing to be part of society. In order to be getting some of its benefits, we have to conform, and stability and security is pretty important for us humans. But Emerson goes a bit further. He believes, for him it's almost spiritual to be self-reliant. For him, nothing is as sacred as the integrity of your own mind. Plato said something similar as well. And even in today's society and in society back then, conformity didn't just mean that you were dressing the same way. Conformity also means that you are adapting your thoughts and your opinions to fit or in order to get approval from the people around you. Sometimes conformity can be acting like your real thoughts don't really exist, and curating yourself based on this external feedback that you get from society. So Emerson saw this kind of self-trust, or entrusting your own thoughts and your own opinions, as sacred. And for him it was basically spiritual. Each person had a unique truth, and if you were to conform, it meant that you were betraying this truth and you were betraying yourself. I think this is something we could use a little bit more of, because we can see, I think at least, a lot of this kind of mob mentality, or this tribalism almost, in which people belong to groups and some people belong to different groups and all of these things. And a way to kind of battle this, or an antidote to this, would be to think more of ourselves as separate and unique people. Something that Emerson also really highlighted. We need to not only think of ourselves as independent, but we also need to have a moral and intellectual sovereignty. that you don't necessarily need the approval of others, that you have your own morals and your own intellectual endeavors that you stand by, and not so quickly join into a clan or a group. Because if you think about it, conforming isn't just succumbing to social pressure. In a way, conforming also becomes a kind of internalized self-doubt. Because what you're saying or what you're implying is that you need guidance, you need approval from people around you, from society, in order to act or to think. And this is self-doubt. You don't trust yourself to come up with the right things, and so you rely on the guidance and the feedback from society around you. And Emerson also says that if you're not conforming, the world or the society is going to whip you for it. So he was very much against this stuff. And I think also the longer you perform, the more you get dependent on this kind of external guidance or this feedback from society around you. And it gets harder and harder not to act anymore. It gets harder and harder to actually be your true self, which I think can be harmful as well to people. The classic example of this would be to see how people adapt themselves in order to align with the masses on social media. This is a kind of boring classic example. But people often try to appear aligned with everyone else because it gives a sense of security. And this is what society is, security in exchange for being 1 in 1,000 or something like that, and not be that unique anymore. And Emerson even said that in order to I don't want to misquote him now, but he said something along the lines of whoso wants to be a man must be a nonconformist. That you're not a real man if you're conforming. Now, on the other hand, we also need to be a bit realistic. The argument to not conform is basically that by not conforming you have more personal freedom, more liberty, more of your own culture and this and that. But how much culture can you really have if you're on your own in the world and you don't have the security of the society? I mean, if you're spending all your days looking for food, shelter, all of these things, you don't have that much time left in the day in order to actually enjoy your personal freedom. You're too preoccupied with surviving. And Emerson himself, he was publishing letters and writing stuff and all of this kinds of stuff. He would not have pen and paper if he would not be part of a society. So the point is not to take this to the extreme. The point is also not to think that Emerson was thinking you need to be a kind of hermit or living in the woods or something like that. But basically the idea is not to trade in too much of your uniqueness for approval, which I think is a healthy thing to think about. Another thing is to not let your instincts be too edited, and your especially with impulsive things. Before you're doing something impulsive, really think, is this in my own interest, or have I been conditioned to it? Am I doing this because I've been conforming to society? For example, if you want to buy something that has a discount, this is something impulsive. Is buying this thing you conforming, or is it actually something in your own interest? I think that is very useful to think about. What Emerson would have said is, don't starve your soul in order to feed your reputation. Don't let yourself, with your one opportunity to be alive, wither away and don't be unique. Don't trade your uniqueness for the approval of others, because it will starve your soul. And yeah, I think a lot of this makes us also more incompetent. Emerson was all about what you think is possible will be possible if you put your mind to it. and he was seems like he was a pretty strong-minded individual, and he also wanted to realize stuff himself. The way I see him is actually, I see him as like the original American. This individualism, to be completely self-reliant and to think for yourself and have original thoughts. But if you're going to take these lessons from Emerson, I think it's very important also to have a healthy dose of self-criticism. Because if you're not going to rely on the guidance of society and people around you and the feedback you get, which I think most of the time can actually be super useful, because a lot of people have different perspectives and have thought about stuff that you have not thought about. So the input is very valuable. But if you're not going to listen to this stuff, then at least you need to be very self-critical. Otherwise you're going to go completely off the rails, I think. If you're not even letting society give you feedback, at least give some honest feedback to yourself, to make sure you're not going crazy. In general, question your impulses, if you're conforming or if you're actually living your own life. That's basically all. The book is full of really amazing quotes. That's why I've marked almost everything. He was kind of a cool guy. I imagine him sitting in a log cabin somewhere, writing his thoughts and something like that. Maybe there's some other quotes here I can share. This is a really good one. The religions of the world are the ejaculations of a few imaginative men. That's a banger of a quote. He has basically a brilliant quote on each page. For example, this one. My hand of iron was not at the extremity of my arm. It was immediately connected with my head. Another good quote. So I highly recommend this guy. Make sure to check him out. And he wrote a lot of beautiful stuff about nature as well. Some of the things are a bit hard to understand. And sometimes he lost me completely, to be honest. But when he didn't lose me and it made sense, I really enjoyed it. That was all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.